He is the most hated man in fitness. He is the guy that walks around with muscles all over his body, no weights, no cardio. Man, I mean, the guy says he doesn't do anything but use bands. Okay? Well, we're about to find out a little bit more from Dr. John Jaquish. This is part 3 of an extensive interview that I had with him.
The biggest error that people can make with X3 is like if somebody's a little shorter, like it was pretty much designed for a guy who's like around 5'10". That's the average height. But you know, somebody's 5'6", they might get the shorter bands so they can make sure. And this goes to the whole, like, you know, you need to load the stretch position or the bottom of the exercise. You have to have load at the bottom. If you don't load the bottom, you're missing out. Now, does it mean absolute bottom stretch? Do you feel like your eyes are going to pop out of your head? No, because that's not even really muscular engagement. That's a stretch. So, but you need to be in that range of motion where the muscle is in a more lengthened position where you're taking it to fatigue. So just make sure the bottom is loaded and you do diminishing range.
See, you just brought up another one of my questions along the way. I'm going to jump to it. You know, you've called the lengthened position the most anabolic position for growth. I've heard you. That's a direct quote of you. Okay, in one of your videos. Yet you focus on the near fully contracted position as being the strongest position. Okay, right. So, and we already went over that part. Okay, the important part of fatiguing. I got that. Okay, but you have acquaintances. It's like a who's who in the PhD YouTuber, as well as on the cutting edge of muscular hypertrophy studies population. Okay, you know these guys. I could name them. You named one already, Milo Wolf, right? You know, Dr. Mike Israetel. You have Brad Schoenfeld. You've mentioned them to me before. Okay,
yeah, those guys are awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so knowing that, one of the things that I had brought up several times now in a few of my own videos was PhDs becoming YouTubers, or YouTubers who become a PhD. That's fine too. And then get into studying the muscle training and studying, you know, muscle-centric medicine, like Gabrielle Lyon likes to call it. Okay, I like that name a lot, by the way. But study the different sort of. They take let me word this correctly. They take a nugget from one of the studies. Meaning, I saw one being described from Milo Wolf, where he described how this one study compared lengthened partials versus full range versus, you know, near full muscular contraction training. It wasn't variable resistance, as you know, okay, but it was comparing the three. And of the three, the lengthened partials brought on the most hypertrophy, or equal to, at least, the full range. Okay, it was probably higher. Now, they broke that down and distilled that down, not just him, but I've noticed Dr. Mike did it too, where they distilled that down to meaning more stretch equals better. Hyper stretch is best. Okay, now I've done videos on this, and I'm going to include a little video on here of even Dr. Milo himself doing a dip motion and going way down there. Look at your face.
Injury City, man.
Look at your face. Thank you so much. So that was going to be my question.
I understand why they're saying that, and scientifically they're not wrong, but that doesn't mean that in application, you know, you need to do that, because the chances of injury, it's like, and also, if you're really going deep into a stretch, you don't want to do that with heavy weight. You want to do that with a lighter weight.
Doc, I brought this question up. Okay,
and that's what variable resistance does.
Yes, I know.
Right.
We're saying the same things.
Right.
So I'm sitting here going, Doc, thank you so much. Right. And I'm taking a moment here. You, the viewer, the listener, please hear what the doc just said and hear what I just said. Okay. Listen to what we said. Don't just hear, listen to what we just said. Do not be deceived. You cannot take a heavy weight and go into a hyper stretched position that your muscles are not prepared to go into. Okay.
So
You can go, let me finish. You can take a nice stretch in a depth. You could take a nice stretch on most exercises within reason. In other words, full normal extension before the joint opens up too much, and then there's trouble coming. Trouble. You do that enough times, trouble will come in the form of pain. Okay.
Well,
So
also it's a lot of it is permanent joint damage. Like you're not coming back from that. So I mean I like the super extreme stretch dip.
Yeah.
Like you might not be able to lift your arm up over your head for the rest of your life without extraordinary pain. Don't do that.
So I'm not, and I have to say, for all the good, I want to say this fairly too. For all the good, by the way, I'm subscribed to all of their channels, just so you know. Okay.
Yeah, same.
I admit, everyone, you know, I know he's friends of yours. I admit I took Dr. Brad to task on one video where I saw him working out with Mountain Dog, and I put the link, I put the snippet up there in the video of him working out doing pull downs, and he said he had gone to failure, and no. And I went like this. I went, oh no. The hypertrophy expert is now telling us that was failure. That wasn't good. That wasn't good. And
I do see some of these guys doing exercises and they're like, like I might have had 1 or 2 reps in reserve, and I'm like, you had 20 reps in reserve, man. Like, come on.
Look at me. I'm yelling over here. Forgive me. Forgive me. Okay.
Yeah. Half-assing your workout has never resulted in growth.
There
like
we go.
This whole idea that you don't need to train to fatigue is just, I mean, I realize some studies say that, and I'm saying that those studies are erroneous, because I never met a champion in my life that was like, oh yeah, I don't train with very much intensity.
Right.
Like, okay. Right. It's the guy that works the hardest that breaks the records. Not the guy that's like, yeah, I only go 50% of my workouts. It's just ridiculous. Like, what?
Can you give me any more shorts content than you're giving me now? I mean,
I mean, it's just like ludicrous to say, like, you know, like when Mike Tyson trains, you think he just breaks a sweat and he goes, fuck it. I'm just gonna have a beer now. Like,
I'm gonna leave a few rounds in reserve. You know, I'll leave a few hits, a few punches in reserve here. No, I didn't.
In fact, the only reason you can build up a tolerance for that is because you take it to the limit every single time.
Come on.
You're absolutely to the limit. If you can handle doing an exercise, if you can comfortably do an exercise and put the weight down, you did nothing. Because it's within your capacity. Doing what's within your body doesn't want to grow muscle.
Right.
Unless you put it in an extreme environment where the central nervous system is like, shit, to survive this, we need more muscle.
You have to force the issue, right?
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah. Man. Absolutely. Man. The highest level of fatigue will yield the greatest growth. Look at the difference. If you want to build a callus, very intense abrasion in the hand with a heavy weight for a short period of time, then you get a callus. If you have a light abrasion for a long period of time, you get a blister, which is not a development of tissue. It's just trauma. Right. Man. That's volume training. It's just like beating on a muscle, and like, it's just not really, a good stimulus. Like, if half-assing your training and just training for longer worked, then manual laborers would be jacked.
Wow.
You know, I mean, dudes that dig ditches every day would just they all look like they're ready for the Olympia stage.
Right.
And instead they look like string beans. Because low intensity work, that's not showing the body a need.
Wow. I'm going to tell you, Doc, you have really brought a breath of fresh air to this channel today.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
I do want to ask you one question near the end of this is I'd like to ask you, have there been any studies other than the one that you just mentioned, more parallel studies, meaning one set on the X3 as you've described versus one set with a barbell as you've described, and seen, is there a difference? Has there been any sort of more of a one-to-one
We've
studies or
never done
no?
no, nobody's ever done a one-on-one study.
Maybe we will. Maybe we will.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, anybody that wants to do that. I mean, like, I know what variable resistance does. I'm not afraid of researchers. I'm not afraid of tough questions or putting it to task
No,
because I know what it can
obviously.
do.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
obviously.
I'm like sitting here. I feel like the people who understand this intensity paradigm,
Mhm.
we're like Jedi because we
Mhm.
know what can happen and we've
Yes.
taken advantage of it. And I think some of these other guys, they're afraid of getting hurt, which is why they don't want to train heavy. And my answer is when you use variable resistance, you actually take the risk down and you take the weight up. So
Yeah.
lower chance of injury and way higher forces. Like the strap line of my product is greater force, greater gains. Like
Mm.
you're using way more, maybe double, triple the amount of force you'd be able to use in a gym with variable resistance. Like, I mean, at 48 years old, repping with 550 at the top,
Yeah.
people were like, well, aren't you afraid of injuring yourself? No, because when I lower it, it's 400 pounds and then 300 pounds and then 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
And
going to get
plus
injured with 200 pounds.
your bone density has got to be through the roof at this point, and there's not an issue as far as your joints go because you've trained yourself to get to that point. You didn't jump up to 550 overnight. So I know
Right,
that
right,
for a
right, right.
fact, right?
Yeah.
So that in effect is not happening. Oh, this has been so much fun. I'm going to put out a part 4 with some extra outtakes. All right. So before you go off to your right, you can please hit the subscribe button, and off to your left and down below, you'll see the thumbs up. Please give that thing a tap and let the YouTube algorithm know how much you like my videos, and they'll notify you when I have new ones pop up. Thank you so much.